teachers of Reddit, how easy it to tell if a student has a crush on another. And what is the funniest, saddest moment between the two you can share? Depends on the age, but the signs are obvious as hell. Lots of staring, and not so obvious but very obvious attempts at being near them. Visible disappointment when they aren't put in the same group for group work. Jealousy in all forms. I've seen a kid hate a classmate for weeks because that classmate sat next to the kid's crush for morning meeting. Super obvious. When a girl says stew while laughing at a guy who is teasing her, or a guy goes out of his way to make fun of her / steal something from her so she'll have to pursue him to get it back, it makes me 100% certain. Everything with students is obvious. I know who you have a crush on. I know when you and your friend got in a fight and aren't the same today. I know when you are having a bad week. I know when you've lost motivation. I know when you're looking for attention, and I know when you want to be left alone. Some teachers use this information to make informed decisions, like sitting you next to your crush, cutting you slack that day, asking if everything is alright, etc., but I've seen some use it to be unfair to students. High school teacher. Depending on the kids' personalities, they either get louder or quieter when their crushes are present. The loud ones are freaking annoying. The quiet ones are the ones I would purposefully sit next to their crushes, haha. Teenagers are not subtle by nature, but they are amazingly oblivious when it comes to matters of the heart. They are really perceptive with other things, though. The boys almost never recognize if a girl likes them, and the girls never realize a guy is showing interest. It's funny to watch it happen, it's so blatantly obvious as an outsider, but I remember being just as oblivious as a student. My son, who is 5, has a crush on a 6-year-old at his school. She says she loves him too and she is around him all the time. He told me just yesterday that he wants to build a 3-bedroom house with a room for him, a room for her, and a room for the baby they are going to have. I asked if he did not want to share a bedroom with her, and he said a boy needs his space. Former 6th grade teacher here. I was there to witness one of my kids take his first big leap. At lunch, he asked the girl he had a crush on, "Will you go on a date with me?" She smiled and said yes. Immediately the boy on the other side of her said, "Don't go out with this fuker, go out with me." She smiled and said okay. I can definitely tell, and I always sit the awkward shy ones with their crushes. Some would call me a guardian angel. I teach preschool. They tend to lack any sort of filter, so they'll just say it outright, sometimes to me, sometimes to their crush, "Matthew is my boyfriend." Or "Let's get married, Julia." They will also occasionally try to kiss their crush. Today, one of my students, Gavin, kissed my hand and proposed. He's 4. It was adorable. I almost wish adult men were as upfront, although I think I'd be a bit freaked out with a proposal. I have this one teacher that will totally just say anything that's on her mind. Once she just flat out said, "Do you guys like each other or what?" to these 2 kids in my class. Within 3 days they were dating and still are. It is painfully obvious most of the time. Here are some of the things I saw: continuous glances at the same person. Body language that positions the person closer to the other person. Interjecting into a conversation that the person was not engaged in to begin with, being helpful more so for a person than for anyone else in class. Flirting, obviously. Boastful storytelling, a lot of times, it is outlandish and very obviously untrue, hanging around the other person uninvited. And checking out the other person while oblivious to their surroundings. What is funny is that most people think they are being sneaky or inconspicuous. From my vantage point in the front of the classroom, these things seem so obvious as to be genuinely painful to observe. It was especially painful when the feelings were intentionally unreciprocated. I'm a substitute teacher and my favorite student with a blatant crush experience was with a second grade class. I picked the kids up from the yard after recess and a boy came to me very upset because one of the girls had been chasing him the entire recess. Once we got back to class I talked with the girl, asking for her side of the story. Conversation went something like this: me, Jose was pretty upset about something that happened this recess. Do you want to tell me what happened? Girl, we were playing. Me, he said you were chasing him, is that true? Girl, slight blush, yeah. Me, do you think he wanted you to be chasing him? Girl, no. Me, if you knew he didn't want to be chased, why were you chasing him? Girl, huge blush, guilty smile, and hunched shoulders, he makes me laugh.